Hey friends, Kevin here once again from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing I Prevail's latest release, Trauma. So before we get into looking at the album song by song and going through all that kind of stuff, let's take a look at I Prevail beforehand. This is their third full release, and back in 2014 they really hit it big with the punk goes pop kind of thing when they did a cover of Taylor Swift's Blank Space, which I thought was done rather well. However, when I look at I Prevail and listen to them, I have a big problem with them because I think of them as just some kind of run-of-the-mill metalcore band that doesn't have a real distinctive quality. I think of them as rather average. If you look at John over on ARTV, he says the exact same thing about Skillet, and I kind of have the same sentiment, but this is towards I Prevail. You look at their vocalist, which I think is a huge point in this. You look at a guy like Eric, who's their non-clean vocalist or unclean vocalist, so he's got all this screaming in there, and I just don't find anything that's really out there or really distinctive or anything that pops with him. He doesn't have that kind of a voice like a Corey Taylor or a Chris Corrali of Motionless in White. It's just not there. Now we take a look at Brian when he has his clean vocals, and they just don't pop either. They just don't have that hard rock kind of sound that really just is distinctive. It's just kind of average. There's nothing to really say it's bad, but there's nothing to really say this is good. The one thing I've liked, especially when they did the Lifelines album, was the ability of the band's instrumentation to go from different song styles and different tempos within the song. I think their movement in between those song styles and tempos was actually probably the biggest selling point for this band so far. And that's one thing that I was curious to see what would happen when we got into Trauma. So, without further ado, let's look at Trauma song by song in order, and we'll see what happens. Bow Down was the first song on this album and was one of the first singles released. And when I heard this song, this was the song that got me stoked on this album from the get-go. I loved the way it was constructed. It had that classic metalcore, hardcore kind of mix where the verses were more metalcore in terms of Eric's vocals and how gritty they were, along with a faster paced, harder sound in the instrumentation. Now, when you got to the chorus, Brian's vocals came out that were a lot cleaner, but it was more of a hard rock style as well. Especially you hear the chorus, and when you heard Eric with his, "You better recognize!" That flowed together perfectly. I love the construction of this song. I've been listening to this song a consistent amount since it came out, and this was the song when I first heard it off of as a single. I thought, this is what I hope they go with. I hope they go in a direction that Bow Down has for them. So, let's see what happens next. Paranoia was the band's last single before the album Trauma was released. This one kind of was a weird one because it had this mix of metalcore and EDM experimentation in it, which I thought it was a little bit of a weird experimentation. However, I thought it was done kind of well at this point. Mostly because when I listened to the song, it was constructed rather similar to how an EDM song would be constructed, but it also was constructed in the same style as a metalcore song would be constructed. It's the sound and the instrumentation, it still had that metalcore feel, but the flow was more of an EDM and the pattern. So I was like, this is kind of a weird experimentation, but they didn't really lose that metalcore root in there, and that's what I actually liked about the song. So I could listen to it, but it wasn't something I'm not going to really listen to very much in the future. The biggest selling point in this song is Brian's vocals, especially in the chorus. This is where it really stands out, and I thought their vocals are really starting to stand out and pop more in this album than they had in previous releases. So, I'm getting kind of excited here, folks. I'm getting kind of excited. Every Time You Leave is a song that I am absolutely not a fan of. This is a throwaway song if you're listening to it. Reason being is because I can clearly tell that this song was constructed to be popular with popular audiences or the masses as well, fans of pop music, and that it was meant to sell this record and get radio plays. Basically, what I mean by that is there was really no metalcore in there whatsoever. It was very kind of pop rock generic, and it just did not flow very well. The instrumentation did not flow. It was so generic in terms of vocals and the sound of the instruments. It just did not work well. Plus, they ended up using a feature of a female pop singer, which whenever I see something like that, I've seen other rock bands go down this path before, it is a huge thing for them to get radio plays and sell records on pop rock stations. And I'm thinking of some other people that have done this beforehand. Linkin Park did this on the One More Light album with Heavy. Yes, I do like that song because of what it means to me, but they did bring in a female pop artist to give it that more of a pop feel. 30 Seconds to Mars did this on America as well with Love is a Madness featuring Halsey. Whenever they have kind of that feature of a female pop artist, it can work. It can work. But when you're a metalcore band and you put it on there and it's just kind of a generic, bland song to get plays on a radio, it just doesn't sit right with me and it doesn't work. Rise Above It is another experimental song, and I do have to respect the fact that they tried experimenting with metalcore and EDM, or their own style, and something EDM or dubstep. I do respect it. However, I thought the execution was terrible. I despise the execution. There was really no metalcore instrumentation there whatsoever. It was very much on or EDM music or dubstep. So the instrumentation was completely thrown out there. The one redeeming quality of this song, though, is how the clean and unclean vocals of Brian and Eric really mesh well together here. If I'm looking for an example of a song where this kind of happens, think Cashed Out by Hollywood Undead off of their album 5. That's one thing that really kind of popped here, that the vocal pattern and how they mesh together, the clean and unclean vocals, was done really well. But outside of that, this song leaves a lot to be desired. But again, I do respect the experimentation and the try, despite the fact that I think the execution missed the mark wide left, and I mean really wide left. Breaking Down was another one of the singles that came out off of this album. It came out the same time that Bow Down did. And it seemed like they tried to do another experimentation here with that metalcore and indie rock experimentation. And I thought they missed the mark here again as well. I just thought the song fell really flat, much like a good amount of the songs on Ammo by Bring Me the Horizon. I did an album review on that as well, and I thought it was just way too generic, way too flat, and way too pop-centric. This one kind of went that same way. And the vocal pattern and how the voices sound, clean, unclean vocals, I don't even remember if there was unclean vocals in there. It just sounded much more generic, and I just could not stand it. This was a song that really got me worried up to this point because, yes, it was a single, and I was worried that the band might be going down this whole entire route with the singles. And looking at what we've gotten so far, I got really nervous up to this point because I liked Bow Down, I thought Paranoia was okay, but then the next three, oh no, I'm getting shades of Ammo here, folks. Or Ammo. Getting shades of Ammo. DOA kind of brought it back for me a little bit because it had this consistent hard rock flow to it, especially in the instrumentation, which is something I'm a huge fan of. If I'm trying to think of, an instrumentation style, how it really flows, tempo and style, think of a Papa Roach song, but just something that's a little bit slower than what you would normally hear from Papa Roach, kind of like a Gravity or something. Just using that as an example for the type of pace. Now, what I was really nervous about the song at the start was it had this intro that I could have easily thought would have fit on Ammo by Bring Me the Horizon. I'm like, no! Please stop! But then all of a sudden it goes in that consistent hard rock sound, and this was the style of music that I was hoping Bring Me the Horizon would have gone with one on Ammo. But it looks like I Prevail is doing it here, and I enjoyed it. Now, the biggest thing that this song has going for it is the mixture between the clean and unclean vocals. They mix so well together. It is absolutely unreal. This song is a good listen, a must-hear. I gotta say, I'm a fan of it. Gasoline went full-on hardcore and metalcore in terms of style, instrumentation, and tempo, and this was something that I was hoping to hear. The other biggest thing I liked about this song was how the vocal pattern was, because instead of going metalcore verses and hard rock choruses, they went more of like a new metal clean vocals verse, and they went that hard metalcore scream for the chorus, and I thought that was done really well. However, I do caution myself because I thought to myself after the second or third time I listened to this song and the album all the way through that this could be a byproduct of the couple of songs that came before this one and why I think it's so good. So I was a little concerned. I'm a little still standoffish on this song, but I did listen to it again and I still think the vocal pattern done well, and it's a good metalcore song. I'll put it that way. Hurricane was a song that threw me for a complete loop. Let me tell you why. The intro, again, reminded me of something that would come off of Amo by Bring Me the Horizon. I thought, please, no. But then as the intro came into the verses and then it went into the chorus with that pop-punk infused chorus, oh man, was it good. The vocal pattern was fantastic, and it mixed well with the instrumentation, going from a slower, more calmer vocal pattern and instrumentation to, as the pace picked up, to that kind of pop-punk chorus. Yeah. The vocal pattern picked up too with the clean vocals from Brian. I thought they were done really well. The accenting screams from Eric in the chorus I thought were done incredibly well. And then the bridge of this song goes full on metalcore, and I thought, oh man, this might be the best song on this album. It is a mishmash of styles between vocal patterns, clean and unclean vocals, song pace, song tempo, song styles. But it works so well on this song. I listened to this song like 3 or 4 times coming home from my day job during the day the album released. I couldn't get enough of it. This might be the best song on this album. Write it down. I don't think it's Bow Down. I think it's Hurricane. Let Me Be Sad was a song that I thought I Prevail put their spin on the classic sad boy music of, Mayday Parade, Taking Back Sunday. I'm just using those guys as examples, of course. But I thought this song did a great job, again, with mixing those styles and those vocals as well. You listen to the start of it. It starts out with the clean vocals and has this little bit of a slower tone to it. But then as the song progresses, you get a more intense sounding and unclean vocals from Eric in that transition from the verse to the chorus, which I thought, okay, let's hear the chorus, let's see what it has. And there's a chorus that is very heavy on the instrumentation, and it is done very well with Brian's clean vocals in this. And if you're looking for a song, you're like, wait a minute, I've kind of heard a song that has that kind of power behind it in terms of the message and in terms of how the vocal pattern and how the instrumentation works together. This song I thought was constructed very similarly to how Hollywood Undead constructed Lion on their Notes from the Underground album back in 2013. I did like the song. I do not like it as much as I like Lion by Hollywood Undead, but I do like what they did here and put that spin on it as well with their sad boy music / clean and unclean vocals. I thought it was done rather well. Low was another song that had that mixing of clean and unclean vocals all over the place. That reminded me a lot of what Hollywood Undead does with theirs. So I thought I Prevail has to be doing some kind of thing where they're getting a lot of influences from Hollywood Undead up to the past couple of songs, actually. The tempo with the instrumentation, this one was a little bit different because it had a consistent, not necessarily super hard and fast-ish pace. So it just kept consistent, which I thought was a little bit weird for I Prevail, who I thought before this was going on had a great job of mixing different sound styles and different song tempos. I thought they'd done well with that, and this time it just kind of lacked that. It just kind of stayed flat. The chorus was the biggest problem I had in this song because I thought it brought in way too many pop rock elements that just didn't really sit well with how the song was constructed. The metalcore style breakdown, though, oh man, was it needed in this song. It saved this song. I don't think it's the best song on the record. I really don't think that's a song that warrants a lot of repeat listening, but if you're going to listen to it, that metalcore breakdown is the way to go. Goodbye Interlude was like a quick 1.5 minute song that I thought they took a lot of influence from Hollywood Undead's 5th album, 5. If you want to look at a song I think that really meshes well with this, think Ghost Beach. Just because they really kind of play with that style that Hollywood Undead has. And I thought, that was actually kind of cool that they did that. And I thought doing it in a 1.5-minute style worked well for them. If they would have made this a full-length feature, I'd have thought they'd been copying Hollywood Undead way too much up to this point, and I would have just kind of wrote it off. But it's not bad. Deadweight was a song that I was hoping for, especially after the band released Bow Down as a single, because this song is just classic hard metalcore to its core. You listen to the verses, fast pace, intense instrumentation, deep, unclean vocals from Eric. You go to the chorus, it's a little bit slower, but still fast paced, hard rock, you get the clean vocals from Brian, and it just works well. Again, I was hoping for more songs like this because of what they did with Bow Down, but this is what we got, and I'm actually kind of okay with it at this point, that we just got this, because they did some nice experimentation further up. I Don't Belong Here is the last song on Trauma, and it slows it down incredibly. They go acoustic on this one with regular pianos, acoustic guitars. Now, I think that I like this song because it brings a nice conclusion to the album. However, if they would have placed this song any other spot in this album except for last, it would not work well at all. It would have ruined the whole album in a sense of a, mojo standpoint. Brian's vocals on this one, however, really shine. His vocal pattern and his vocal tone really shines here and brings that kind of pop that was lacking in their previous releases. I like the fact that the band experimented with a lot slower, softer sound, but I really hope this isn't something that I Prevail goes down and, further looks into and further dives into as their career goes on, if that makes sense. All right, time to give my rating for Trauma by I Prevail, and I'm going to give Trauma a 7 out of 10. When it comes down to it, Trauma was an album that I didn't think I was necessarily going to like given the singles, because I did like Bow Down, but I didn't really like Paranoid as much as I could have, and I really disliked Breaking Down. And seeing kind of where the band was going in terms of style, I just thought, oh, this might not necessarily work out. But I did think after listening to it a couple of times that this was a rather decent album. The biggest positives I take off from this album was their problem that their vocals didn't really pop or have a discerning quality to them. That completely changed, especially for both clean and unclean vocals. We're listening to Eric's vocals. They really shine on Bow Down, Gasoline, and Deadweight. You go to Brian's clean vocals. They really pop again on Bow Down, Hurricane, DOA, and Let Me Be Sad. I thought they did it really well here. And their ability to really mix that tempo and style, it still is prevalent in some of those songs, and I really do like that. Again, like Bow Down, it is incredibly prevalent there. They did some good mixture between the clean and unclean vocals, like I said, on Bow Down and on Hurricane, Low, Deadweight, DOA. I liked a lot of it. And there are some songs that when they did an experimentation with, again, like Hurricane or I Don't Belong Here, I thought they did rather well. So I did enjoy those. Trust me, I enjoyed those. However, what really brought the album down for me and didn't let me go way too high with it was that I just thought they experimented with some of those songs just absolutely atrociously. Like every time you leave with the inclusion of whatever the featured artist was, the female pop singer, because I thought that was just one to just sell records and get radio plays, and it just sounded way too generic, way too bland. Same thing with Rise Above It. I just thought it was just not done well and a horrible look for an experimentation gone wrong. And Breaking Down, it just went way too soft and it just did not mesh well. The other thing that I really brought down the album was the instrumentation in their first release, especially with the Blank Space cover and in Lifelines. It had a certain discerning pop to it and it had a thing that was distinct. But as I went through the Trauma album, they kind of lost a little bit of that distinction, which I was a little nervous about because I thought, where are they going to go from here? However, they do have those vocals down and they pop now, and it's something that's cool. So, looking at it from a perspective, I think this is a big step forward for I Prevail. I think they did a good job overall. However, at this point in the year, 2019, with the albums that I've reviewed, this does not break the 8 out of 10 that Strength in Numbers by the Fever 333 got. But this is going to be an interesting album as it goes on throughout the rest of the year. Let's see how it stacks up. However, I think it's an album that's not going to warrant a lot of repeat listening through and through. But are there some songs that will warrant a lot of repeat listening? Yes, like Bow Down, Hurricane, and maybe even DOA. Alright, that's it for me. Thank you for watching the My Song Today Rock 2000 Today album review on Trauma by I Prevail. If you think it did a good job, hit that like button. If you think, oh, you suck, hit that dislike button. But anyway, if whatever you do, let us know what you think in the comments, because I like to look at those and I like to answer those. If you are not subscribed to this channel, my God, guys, what are you doing? You got to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, because we release new videos every single Wednesday. Now, if you're not following us on our social media platforms, I gotta be telling you, what are you guys doing? We put out killer content on that stuff all the time. So if you're not following us on our Facebook page, yeah, right there, or our Twitter page, which the emblem is right over here, and our Instagram page, which is, the emblem right there, you gotta follow us. I got links in the description below for you to follow those, along with my personal Twitter if you want to yell at me about music or whatever. Also, You ever heard of this thing called a podcast? The Chord Progression Podcast? Yeah, that's me. So I've got a podcast called Chord Progression, brought to you by My Song Today. We talk about all things music, whether it's music news, new music that's come out, like the I Prevail album, Trauma. We talk to you guys about it. I'll actually call some of you if you want. I called someone from our Instagram page to talk about the album for our podcast that came out on April 2nd. So go listen to it. I've got links in the description below for Spotify, Apple, and now Google Play, which is awesome. So, at least I still hope I have Google Play. Darn, I wish I do. Or I hope I do. So, the link will be in the description below. Last but not least, if you have an Amazon Echo, Amazon Alexa, and you are not subscribed to the My Song Today Rock 2000 to Today Alexa skill, you guys have got to be kidding me. That is one of the coolest Alexa skills ever because, well, I worked on building it. Well, I had some help, but I basically came up with the idea and I built it. So here's what I want you to do. Two things. Or either click the link in the description below because it'll take you to the Amazon webpage. You just hit enable and it's enabled on your device. Or you can say, hey Alexa, enable My Song Today Rock 2000 to Today Alexa skill. And you'll have it on your skill. So you have to say is, hey Alexa, play my song today. Every day you'll get a 5-second intro from yours truly, and then you'll hear a new song today in its entirety. Once it's over, that's it. You want to listen to it again? Say, hey Alexa, play my song today, and you'll hear it again for 24 hours. All of a sudden, next day you want to listen to a new song, and say, hey Alexa, play my song today, and boom, new song. You listen to it as many times as you want. You don't have to listen to it today if you don't like the song choice. Up to you. But if you are not subscribed to it, please, 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 please do me a huge favor and subscribe to it. It is a thing that keeps me going at night, deep into the night when I'm trying to get this stuff done. I love it, and I want to have you guys enjoy it and be a part of this community. So join all this stuff, subscribe to all our stuff, and join a community because I'd love to have you here, and I want to thank you guys for being a part of this community. And that's it for me. I'm Kevin from the My Song Today Rock 2000 Day YouTube channel. I will give a throw of my hat, and I will end it with the see ya!